Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to build a modified A-frame. A modified A-frame has a sidewall, or what's called a knee wall. This has a 4-foot knee wall on the side. You still have the shape of an A-frame, but it gives you more room on the interior for putting furniture, and also more headroom on the sidewalls than a traditional A-frame. Now this is a 14 by 14. The main cabin is a 14 by 14 with 16 foot 9 inches approximately from the floor to the peak, and it is designed with a loft in it. And I've also showed this with an addition. This addition is optional, but it does give you some nice room in here. I showed this with a party deck on top. I have not put any doors or windows into the addition. I'm just showing you this to show how it can be built. The addition that I would recommend would be 8 foot wide and 10 foot long. So it's 8 foot this direction and 10 foot this direction. So it's a good size addition. Okay, so this is this addition is 8 foot wide by 10 foot long, and I show this with a party deck, which means you could put a door from the loft to come out on top of this and have a what's called a party deck where people can go out. You can hang out, sunbathe, you know, shoot the roof, whatever you want to do. I do not show doors and windows in this addition. I'll leave that to your imagination where you'd put them. I do show the door in the back of the main house. And I also show this with a porch. This is a 6 foot by 14 foot porch off the front. And I'll just show you on the interior here. You can see it has a nice loft on the inside, and it is almost 8 foot to the loft. And then another 8 foot to the peak on the inside. So you have good headroom in this, because we're using that 4-foot sidewall. And, I'll show you the rest of the features when we get over to the framing, because it's easier to show on the framing. I'll just pull this off real quick so you can see it. So there's your, loft platform. You can see it's up above the doors and the windows. And then you have a nice, 3x3 window up above the, loft there. Good living area underneath. Alright, now I don't show this with any of the interior work done, because I'm going to kind of leave that to your imagination. You can do anything that you want with this plan. Put it in your bathrooms, your kitchen, your living area, whatever you want to do with this space. Alright, so let's go ahead and go over to the framing and show you how this is constructed. Okay, we're going to show this modified A-frame built on a poured cement footer. This is a common foundation for smaller structures that don't require piers to go below the frost line. And it just basically uses forms, and then the cement is poured into the forms, and it is 1 foot thick and 1 foot deep. So, and this is a good foundation for smaller structures. You could use a different foundation if you want to. So let's go ahead and put our floor on this. Okay, so here's our floor framing, and on the main structure I'm using a 2x8 floor framing on 16-inch centers. I also use 2x8 for the front porch, which you can see here. On the rear, though, I use 2x6. The reason is I had to drop it down just a little bit in order for a full 2x4 wall to go up and match the pitch of the main roof. So this is 2x6, just so you know, and this is all 2x8 lumber. This is all on 16-inch centers. The porch is optional, so you can see that I've got it separated. There's two 2x4s, or two 2x8s that would be tacked together. And on the rear, the addition is also optional, and it also attaches to the faceplate on the floor framing. Alright, so there is the floor framing all in. And you can see that it rests directly on the footer wall, so you have good support all the way underneath. Good support on all of your floor framing, and then this would be tied into the floor framing using cement to wood attachments. Now this should be pressure treated lumber that you use on this, and you would also want to insulate the floor before you put the floor covering on. But I'm not going to show insulation on here. You can just assume that you would want to insulate your floor for this plan. So now let's go ahead and put on our floor sheathing. Okay, for our floor sheathing for the main house and the addition, I would recommend 3/4 inch tongue and groove subflooring, OSB subflooring, and it would be 4x8 sheets. I just show this as a continual piece, but it would be 4x8 sheets that is attached to your floor framing. And then for your front porch, if you do the front porch, you can use whatever deck lumber suits your desires and whatever you think looks good, or you can use reclaimed or recycled lumber for that. So there is the floor framing and the subfloor put on. So let's go ahead and put our front and our rear walls on. Okay, so here we've got our front and our rear end walls on. This is all 2x6 lumber, so you get a lot of good space for insulation. Since these A-frames and modified A-frames are designed for cold country, they also work well in hot country, but they're designed for cold country. You want to have good insulation. So we've got 2x6 walls. Again, it is 16 foot 9, a little bit more than 16 foot 9 to the peak. These side walls here are 4 foot to the side wall. I show this with a standard 3 foot by 6 foot 8 inch door, with two 2x3 windows on each side and a nice 3x3 window up top. You could, of course, do different windows. Some people want glass all over the front. You can do anything like that you want. I just show this with some traditional framing and windows that are available anywhere. This does have double 2x6 headers and jack studs and king studs underneath each of the windows and doors, so it has lots of good support here to prevent any type of snow buildup that could possibly collapse the roof. All right, so those are the end walls. I would point out here that I did what's called a California corner. I added an additional stud right here, which you can see on both sides. This sits out and it attaches to the side wall, which I'll show you, the knee wall, and it also gives you a lip so that you can attach your interior drywall or whatever material you're going to use for your interior sheathing. It gives you something to attach that to. Okay, so there is your front wall. Here is your rear wall. Now I've included a rear door, assuming that you're going to build an addition. If you don't build the addition, it's just a rear door. And that gives you 2 egresses, which is generally required by code. You need to have 2 egresses on your cabins for fire safety. And again, this has a 3x3 window up at the top. Nice big 3x3 window. This will go over this will be over the loft floor. And so you have a window in your loft, and then I show it with a 2x3 side window. Now, the way I designed this, I would put a bathroom over on this side over here. So this 2x3 window would be over your bathroom, and this rear door here would be over your kitchen. I left enough room in here for kitchen cabinets and everything to go on both sides of this. That's how I planned it, but you may want to do it differently. All right, so there's your end wall. So let's go ahead and put in the knee walls. Okay, so here we've got your knee walls, or you can call them side walls if you want. Again, this is 2x6 lumber framing on 16-inch centers with a double header. This is 4 feet this direction, and then it sits inside the end walls here and is connected to the end walls, and you can see here where it connects to both of the studs in the corner. And the one stud sticks out approximately a ½ inch so that you have something to attach your interior sheathing to. So there's your framing, okay? 2x6 lumber for end walls and the knee wall. And of course this would be attached to your floor plating. Very nice. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put the roof on. No, before we put the roof on, I'm going to show you the yeah, we'll go ahead and put the roof on, and then I will show you the loft framing. Okay, so now we've got our roof framing on. Roof framing is 2x6 lumber with a 2x12 ridge board or peak board up here across the top. And this is 16 feet. It extends 1 foot out from, show this here. It extends 1 foot over and rear of the end walls. That gives you snow protection, over your structure. And you could extend those longer if you want them. I went with 16 foot because this is easier to find, a 16 foot 2x12 than it would be other sizes that you might have to have custom cut. And it is these framing members for the roof framing are 2x6 by 16s. So I know that you can find those at pretty much anywhere. You're going to be able to find 2x6 by 16s. And that way I'm using nominal lumber that you can find and procure anywhere. So let's take a look at this a little bit, get in here a little bit closer, and I'm going to take this roof off for just a second and show you this. Now this is the loft framing, which you can see. And this is really important because the loft ties the side walls together, or the loft ties the roof together. It gives it additional support. You can see that it is angled to match the pitch of the roof, framed across, and then there will of course be framing on, floor framing on top of that, or floor sheathing on top of that. And you can see that it attaches just above the door's framing, right in here. And so it is attached to the rear wall, and then it is attached to both of the roof framing on both sides. And this holds this together. It ties these roof framing. It ties the roof framing together so it holds it from bowing out, which some people have wondered about how you tie that together. Well, that's what keeps it safe so that snow load doesn't collapse your roof. All right, again, that gives you a good headroom of about 8 feet from the floor up to the loft, and then it gives you about the same amount, 8 feet here, maybe a little bit more, from your loft floor to the peak. So you've got good headroom above here. Now, if you wanted to, you could do a full loft. You could extend this all the way over here to the front wall, and that would give you twice as much room in your upstairs. And you could put in a small staircase someplace if you want to. If you do the half loft, then you're probably going to be using a ladder to access the loft. But you could put stairs in here if you wanted to. But probably a ladder would be the easiest way to access the loft if you do a half loft. If you do a full loft, then you could do stairs or round staircase or something like that. All right, so we'll put the roof framing back on this now. Okay, so there is the basic floor framing, wall framing, and roof framing for this modified A-frame. Looking pretty good. All right, so let's put some, let's go ahead and put the rear addition on and the porch members on, and then we'll start doing the outside sheathing. That'll probably be the easiest way to do this. Okay, so here I put on the addition. The side walls and end walls are all 2x6 by 8 lumber, and you can do this roof in different styles if you want. This party roof I think works the best because it fits nicely inside this wall framing and roof framing. And like I said, I don't show any doors or windows in this, but you can put those in anywhere you want. And very simple construction, double header. Now on this top roof, you would want to use some type of membrane, a rubber membrane of some type, so that moisture doesn't settle and leak through your roof. But other than that, very simple construction, and all on 16-inch centers, 2x6 lumber, for a nice addition off the back. So let's go ahead and we'll sheathe this main house to show you how it's sheathed, and then I'll talk about insulation. Okay, so here I show the side walls, these knee walls, and the back wall sheathed. Now, before you put your sheathing on, you want to put a layer of either Tyvek or some other type of wind and waterproof barrier. You can use roofing felt or what they call tar paper. If you don't want to use Tyvek, Tyvek is generally what's required by code, or some other type of brand of wind and water barrier. Always, always, always put that on your walls before you attach your sheathing. I'm not going to try and show that in this drawing here because it's just a kind of a wasted step I'm not going to show that in this drawing here, but just so you know that you would wrap your house in either Tyvek or tar paper before you put your sheathing on. Now, the type of sheathing I would recommend for this would probably be something like the T111 sheathing, or you could do whatever you want. You could do a sub-sheathing and then do vinyl siding if you want, or, you could use whatever type of boards that you have, lap siding, that you want to do for your exterior to make it look good. T111 is generally very strong material and is what I used on my cabin. It lasts for a long time and is good material, but you can use whatever material you want. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the sheathing on this front. I just wanted to be able to show it without that front on so you can see how that's attached to all the walls. Okay. So let's go ahead and put the front sheathing on here. Again, remember you would cover this with Tyvek or tar paper before you put your sheathing on. Okay, so now I have the front wall sheathed, doors and windows in place. Again, these are standard 3 foot by 6 foot 8 doors. I put a fancy door in here with a couple of glass windows in it. And these are standard 2 by 3 exterior windows and a 3 foot by 3 foot window over the front. Same thing in the rear, you got a 3 foot. Same thing in the rear, you've got a 3 foot window over the loft. your standard. This door is not standard size. This door is a little bit narrower. I think it's 2x6 by 6'8", and then you got a 2x3 window over the bathroom. If you are building the addition, you may not want to put this window in, okay? Because you're gonna have a window coming from your bathroom into your addition. But this shows it so it can be done either way. All right, so there is the siding on this modified A-frame, starting to look like a house now. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and sheathe this loft floor in here first, and then we'll go ahead and we'll put our roofing on. Okay, so now I've got the loft floor sheathed. Again, I would use 3/4 inch tongue and groove OSB for your loft floor. Now this, like I said, this loft floor, it ties the sides of the roof together, gives it a lot of strength in here. And again, if you want to, you can do a loft that goes all the way across. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our roofing metal on, and we'll show that. Okay, I show this with metal roofing, which is probably the easiest to work with. You can just slide it up, and then you use the special attachment screws. They have a grommet on them to attach them, and that's how you attach your roof metal to your framing. You can see that from the inside. Again, this framing's on 2-foot centers, designed for metal roofing, and attaches very easily across. And we'll go ahead and put the other side on here, and then we'll start working on some insulation. Okay, so now we've got our roofing material on. I suggest metal material, metal roofing for this structure. Be a lot easier to put on than traditional shingle roofing, but you could put shingle roofing on this. If you do that, then you're going to have to put your roofing sheathing on before you do your shingles. Now, we're going to go ahead and do the insulation on this next, so I'm going to remove the roof to show you how I can do the insulation. So we'll go ahead and remove these panels real quick, and we'll remove the roof so I can show you how to do insulation on here. Now, what I would recommend, if you're in cold country or if you can swing it, I would get spray foam insulation and have them just, you can do it yourself, but you can hire the company to come and do it. There's a lot of places that do it now. Spray foam insulation would give you about R33, which is a superior R value for both cold and hot country. The more insulation, the better these days. So I would put R33 insulation, and they just come in and they spray it inside all of the openings inside the walls, scrape it down so it's nice and level, and then they let it sit, and a couple days later you're ready to put your drywall on. Now, if you want to use traditional insulation like the fiberglass, formaldehyde-free batt insulation, you can get R19, because these are 2x6 walls. You can get R19 insulation into these walls and all of these openings, so you'd still have very good insulation. R19 is still a high rate of insulation, just not as high as the spray foam. So if you can swing the spray foam, I would probably go with foam insulation. Now, I'm not going to show the insulation in here. There's no need for me to fill in all that, as long as you understand that there's insulation on all these walls, including on the addition. I would do the same thing, insulation, after you put your sheathing on. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and do the drywall on the inside, or whatever material you want to use for your interior covering. Okay, after you have your insulation in, then you're going to want to put your interior sheathing material, whatever you're going to use. I show this with drywall. That's the most common material. It's inexpensive. It also works really well. It takes paint, and if you want to, you can put fancy wood trim over the outside of it. Now, I didn't do any trim work on the windows or doors on the inside. That would all be done to suit your taste, whatever you want, how you want the interior to look like. So there's the drywall. Okay, and that is the basic construction of this house. We'll go ahead and put the roof on it here in a minute, but I just want to walk around it here for a second, give you an idea of how it looks without the roof. Now we'll go ahead and put the roof on it, and there it is with the roof, and that's all dried in, ready for you to finish the interior any way you want to do it. Of course, you would insulate your roof as well, and you would use whatever material. Probably pine lap boards would be the best for doing the interior of the roof. You know, that's your structure. So let's go ahead. The only thing I haven't put on here is my deck railing. So let's go ahead and put on this front porch railing. Okay, so now I show it with the just the front porch railings that I designed. You may want to design a fancier porch, but this gives you a 6-foot by 14-foot front porch out here. And there is the modified A-frame, folks. As you can see, the construction is fairly simple. This would be an easy house for most people to build themselves, do it yourself. It is a 14 by 14 modified A-frame. You can put the 8-foot by 10-foot addition on the rear. You could put a door up here for a party deck if you want to. You could do the full loft instead of the half loft if you prefer that. Again, I think it's a really nice design. Would work very well in high snow country, but you could live in this house anywhere. You could live in this in the desert. And you know, if you have that superior insulation, it's really going to help you reduce your bills for winter or summer use. All right, I really like this design. Hope you enjoyed this video, and have a great day, folks.